Guys, let's start.
Ooh,
Sit down.
Really dilute quality logo.
Carolyn, Pearl, Grace, Elaine.
She thanks for saying our names out loud. You know our names. Yay!
Sit.
So only refute the big contentions. Three points like lack of evidence or dropped points, corrected criterion, or adjust.
Yeah, I would do evidence criterion if they drop a point that, otherwise the most important issue.
Most important issue.
Yeah, and if they bring up anything new in their last two speeches, you need to refute that, or if it sounds important. Okay? Otherwise, you can cover it in your own voter issues.
What should the split of time look like? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or?
Depending on how much you have to get through, just like briefly refute what they brought up. Anything
1 or 2
important.
sentences?
Yeah, for like each topic they brought up.
Got it.
And then like for your voter issues, like evidence and criterion, you can go through all your points and like bring up anything there too.
Alright, can I borrow anybody's phone or timer?
Oh no. Sorry.
Judge, my opponent is intolerant.
I don't have one with me, but I can go get one.
Go get one.
If you guys move an inch.
And if you guys are irritating, I'll make this really difficult to understand.
You're always difficult. Carolyn!
Excuse you?
Shut your mouth.
You're just making me unhappy right now.
This girl's the fastest freshman in the freaking state. Okay, so she runs 3 miles at literally like a 7-minute pace. No, I run 1 mile at that pace. I'm just like.
Is this Carolyn's phone or your phone?
Why?
What's your password?
How do you get the timer?
You swipe up.
Oh, is yours new?
Is yours no?
It's right there. I have hair since.
I don't actually know where my timer is.
Go.
Meredith, my timer ran away. Also, Claire. Oh, I found her.
Apple.
Claire found her.
Apple.
Okay, you know what?
Apple's so
If you say
cheap.
apple one more time, I am working Apple.
Guys, seriously, start. Go.
We're ahead of you, Meredith.
Yeah, Meredith.
All right,
Yeah.
Grace, go.
Apple's so cheap.
Alright,
Grace.
I'm going to begin my time now. I'd like to briefly thank everyone for making today's debate possible before moving in to my speech. I'll first speak. Wait, no, shoot. I'm going to cry for a second and then cry and then cry. Okay. China's economic rise is a threat to the United States. I'll first begin with definitions, then move on to our own contentions. We define China as the country, China, its economic rise, as its recent skyrocketing GDP and economic growth, a threat to the United States, as a threat that hurts American interests, which include infringing on any form of its power, that be hard, soft, or economic. I'll begin with our first contention. First, that it's bad for the American economy. It's bad for several reasons, but I'll focus on the main one for now. The first, because of its currency manipulation. China, as of now, undervalues the RMB against the American dollar in order to acquire more American currency. This is in addition to the $1.15 trillion of American debt it already owns. This makes it the largest holder of American debt in the world. China is buying America penny by penny, and it's just showing no signs of stopping. This is part of its export-led growth strategy, according to the Council on Foreign Relations. Its export-led growth strategy means that it focuses on economic growth through a ton of exports. Because of this, it also has a very large trade deficit with America, meaning that America is importing more Chinese products than it's exporting American products. This means that the flow of money in this trade is going straight to Beijing, and none of it is returning to America. China's rise is bleeding Americans dry in all sectors of the economy. Furthermore, what this spells for American strength is devastating. For instance, consider the fact that it already holds $1.15 trillion of American debt. According to Forbes, China has the ability to take this back at any moment. Well, it won't, because that would be a stupid move economically. It has the power to. And power over America is power that should be given to no man. Furthermore, China has recently surpassed America as the world's largest GDP. America falling to number 2. And Judge, America needs to return to its hyperpower status. America needs to return to its status as the world's top dog. And China is threatening this. It's threatening its global supremacy, and this is unacceptable under today's definitions. Yes, first 2 questions.
Clarify your first 2.
That it's bad for America's economy because of its currency manipulation and export-led growth strategy. So all of these ways I've described are ways in which their strategy is hurting America and American consumers. With the flow of money, like I said, heading straight to Beijing and the trade deficit growing every second, it is incredibly clear that China's economic rise only spells trouble for America. I'm on to my second contention now, that China's economic rise damages global peace. Because here's the thing, China taxes its population. This is a given. However, when the population has more money, as the GDP rises and rises and rises, then the government has more money. And in the past years, China's government has chosen to drastically expand its military, with more and more dollars allocated to military every single year. This has resulted in forceful claims for land, most importantly in the Senkaku Islands, which are also claimed by Japan. The United States is Japan's ally first and foremost in the Pacific. So this means that the United States is siding with Japan over China. But as China's economic rise means more money for the government to channel into the military, this means that America and America's allies will be hurt by China's economic rise. Because of this, China's rise will spell only trouble for America abroad, because it'll mean, again, the end or the decline of American power overseas, which again, under the definitions and under the criterion for today's debate of net benefits, is net detrimental. Third, and finally, it's bad for the environment. The Guardian reported on April 15, 2014, that storms were intensifying in the Pacific thanks to climate change. In addition, in 2006, air pollution killed 7 million people annually. And this is prior to a lot of China's economic growth. So how does this correlate to China? And how does it correlate to a threat to America? Well, China's export-led growth strategy means that factories are being built, factories are being worked in. And China, and again in 2006, produced 1/3 of the world's pollution. And again, this has grown significantly since then. Because of the fact that it produces at least 1/3 of all of this, this means that China's economic rise, which has been fueled by its factories, which are fueled by its emissions, are spelling doom and devastation for the populations of the world. China is indirectly, or rather partially directly, responsible for the deaths of millions of people. China and its factories are the hidden killers of many Americans each year. Judge, this is clearly a threat to Americans' interests. This is a threat to the United States. We cannot allow China's economic rise to continue to threaten the United States in this way, because it's so completely clear that it hurts the American economy through its currency manipulations, that it damages global peace through having more money for the military, and that its environmental devastation is hurting the citizens of the world, who include Americans. Because Time reported on February 18, 2013, that 7 out of 10 Americans want stricter environmental standards. They want restrictions on how much you can emit. So they're directly going against what 7 out of 10 Americans stand for. Americans can't even agree on what leader they want for the country, but they can agree that what China is doing is bad and wrong. And so because of this, it is so completely clear that looking at today's debate, when we see that it's bad for America's economy, that it's bad for America's power and peace, and that it's bad for the environment as a whole, that this needs to be an aft vote. Because China's economic rise is a threat to the United States. Thank you.
What was your time?
6:47. Do you think I got enough like doom and devastation in there?
Yes, it was quite nice.
We feel offended.
Grace is.
Excuse you. What happened to standing in unity?
What you said? Not today. We feel offended. What?
Anyways, NSA is always watching. Please know that you're American first and foremost. So. Oh my god. Anyways, would the leader of the opposition like to stand and give their speech?
Yeah, we're using the phone.
Caro.
Slightly.
I don't want to erase this propaganda. Okay.
I got my audio.
Uh-oh.
No. That's
Not at all.
and proof that it's for the American interest, aka Lily. So could you
What? I now represent the whole American interest? Now who's being racist?
America's interested in you, Lily.
So basically, Lily is America.
Same.
Thanks, guys.
All of America.
Thanks.
So America, are you ready?
Yes, America's ready.
Come on. Okay, game face, go. Okay. Time starts now. We strongly negate the resolution that China's economic rise is a threat to the U.S. So, for a brief roadmap, I'll start by refuting our opponent's contentions and moving on to our own. So, my opponent's first contention was that it's really, China is bad for U.S.'s economy, how they have currency manipulation and they hold the most American debt, and how it has an export-led growth strategy. But actually, the U.S. relies on China to provide for goods. $579 billion of U.S. goods come from China. And this is from The Economist. Okay. Also, the second contention was that it damages global peace. But actually, China contributes to the most to the world GDP. The third contention was that it's bad for the environment. How factories are being built, and that is like resulting in pollution. Actually, it's partially America's fault because we import from China. Yes.
Hi, I'd just like to briefly address there. So, do you believe that the amount of money America gets from China's factories is greater than $1.15 trillion?
Oh, yeah. Can you please repeat that?
Do you believe that the amount of money America is getting from China's factories is greater than $1.15 trillion?
I like a little star.
They're rowdy. Can I sit back in a circle? I want to supervise. Just make sure you guys are okay. Oh, it was funny. You should just embrace it. All right. Oh, son of a gun. Sorry. Left my mouse in my office.
Now moving on to the negations case. Okay. I'll start by moving on to our own independent contention. Okay. China's economic rise benefits the U.S. because U.S. private services and good trade. So, $579 billion of the U.S. goods come from China, and this is according to The Economist. Also, we rely on them to provide us with goods, and also, yes.
Are you aware that this is actually dwarfed by the amount of money that is in the trade deficit between China and the United States as stated in the case.
Anyways, the president of China promised to buy $45 billion worth of U.S. products. The White House said purchases would support around 250,000 U.S. jobs. And also, this trade to China supports 30.1 million jobs, according to the Business Roundtable. So in summary, China's economic rise to the U.S. is not a threat to the U.S. because China's economic rise benefits the U.S. as U.S. private services and goods and trade with China equals around $579 billion, and this is according to economists. Also, trade with China supports 30.1 million jobs, according to 30.1 million jobs. Also, we rely on them to provide us with a lot of goods. Also, the president of China promised to buy $45 billion worth of U.S. products, and purchases would support 250,000 jobs at any moment. So, for all these reasons, I strongly urge a negation. Thanks.
What was your time?
5:14.
I didn't raise the question.
I turned on the
AC.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So hot.
What's shaking you, man?
Oh, you haven't called me that in so long.
Yeah, it's time to change.
Am I
that.
interrupting the debate? No.
They're still speaking, so my apologies. It's okay.
See you, tortilla. You cannot hide from me.
Oh my god. You guys came for a good topic. Especially with them.
Wait, are you saying mean things?
No, say nice things.
I think literally everyone on this topic is Chinese or not Chinese.
It's great. It's like, I'm so sorry.
Okay, Elaine, let's go.
Let's go. Yes. Be gone. As a member of the negation affirmative team. Okay, thanks. I strongly affirm the resolution that China's economic growth is a threat to the U.S. So first, I will be going over the negations team reputations to our case before refuting their case. So our first point was that China is bad for America's economy, and they refuted that by saying the United States relies on China for goods, but the United States is moving their factories to Bangladesh, so that will no longer be the case that the United States is dependent on China for goods. And our second point was that it damages global peace, and they dropped this point. And they conceded to this point and agreed that with this point that China's economic growth damages global peace. Our third contention was that China causes pollution, and they responded by saying this is partially America's fault. But China is continuing to grow, and they will continue to cause more and more pollution. And Americans don't like pollution, so they will so 7 out of 10 Americans don't like China's economic want stricter standards on this air pollution. So since America is based on the government of their people, they will fight for this change to stop this air pollution from China. So, yes. What's your source to this?
Time. February 18th.
How recent?
Did you 2014? That's all the speech.
Just wanted to clarify.
Just wanted to.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is my speech.
So the negation team's only contention was that the United that it's bad for that the U.S. is dependent on goods from China. But okay, so they mentioned things about jobs. China. But all this money is going to China, so it doesn't benefit the United States at all, but continues to benefit China. And since China continues to get more money, it'll continue damaging America's economy, global peace, and cause more air pollution because they have more money to spend on these things. Also, China has, and if this stops, Americans will lose jobs, and that is not good for the United States because jobs support people. And also, China has too much power over our economy right now, so as the United States keeps getting goods from them, China keeps getting more and more control over the United States' economy, and then they will have the power to crush our economy if they ever feel the need to. According to Forbes. So, in summary, China's economic growth is a threat to the United States because it is bad for America's economy. This is because of the currency manipulation and export-led growth, and since the United States is importing more than exporting to China. It also damages global peace because the government has money and they spend it on their military. And the negation team failed to refute this point, and they conceded to it. And also, China causes a lot of air pollution, which intensifies storms over the Pacific Ocean, which affects the United States. And since China has so much control over the United States economy, they do have the control to crush the economy, and if we keep supporting this, then the consequences of their power will be worse. For these reasons, China's economic growth is a threat to the United States.
What was your time?
5:15.
Nice.
should have spoken about this at the tournament.
That was really
That was not bad. What are you talking about?
Also.
Caroline.
Pearl.
Caroline. It's good.
Pearl. That's great.
Wait, who was Michael J. Fox's character in Back to the Future?
Dear, you're supposed to be speaking.
Dang it!
Marty McFly? Isn't it Marty
I
McFly?
was gonna say.
Was I not supposed to say that?
No, about
No!
the source, but for that statistic.
Huh?
She was
I think she got it wrong, and then you
Nice.
told her the right answer.
Is
So.
that wrong? Was I not supposed to tell you the right answer?
Yeah, but you told me too late.
Well, you didn't ask me yet. You didn't ask. What did you say? Marty McFly.
Yeah, anyways, like I said, don't worry, you don't know that.
And is it's a great
Bye,
movie.
guys. I don't think. Maybe stop like you.
Alright, Pearl, go. Let's go.
Are you crying?
Yes.
I know, seriously.
I mean, sorry.
Thanks for the translation.
Times.
Come over here.
My
Yeah.
Okay, you did not call. Time starts now. Okay, so we strongly negate that China's economic rise is a threat to the U.S. So first, I'm going to start by refuting what the affirmative team said. So their first contention was that China's economic rise is bad for the U.S. economy, and this is kind of true. But also, the U.S. relies on China to provide goods for them. So while it is bad for what?
Well, when we say,
I won't take your question right now. I'm sorry.
You said what? I thought you were.
I'm sorry.
I'll just sit down.
Okay. The U.S. relies on China to provide goods, and imports, and just importing alone from China they import alone from China a total of $439 billion, but also they also export and import a total of $579 billion from China.
No talking.
Okay, anyway, their second contention said that it would damage the global peace. Okay, however, it China contributes the most to the world GDP. And then their third contention was that it was bad for the environment as more factories are being built in China, which like my partner said before, was partially America's fault because they import so much from China, they have to build factories to support this, and like I said before, they import $579 billion from China. So therefore, it is partially America's fault.
No.
It is partially America's fault because they're importing so many goods from China, and they're spending so much money that it's not possible for America to not be part of this, to not be part of China's increase in pollution, which is bad for the environment. Okay, moving on to our attention. So China's economic rise helps the U.S. economy, and we as Americans rely on China to provide goods for us. So that includes also making the goods, and as you can see today, many of the products we use are made in China as a result of how much we rely on them. So also the president of China, when he was speaking to Barack Obama, promised to buy $45 billion worth of U.S. products, and the White House said these purchases would support about 250,000 U.S. jobs, according to the CBN. And So while they were speaking to Obama, while he was speaking to Obama, Obama said, and I quote, "You need, we need your." We need your cars. You can buy our technology. I strongly.
Good job, girl. That was good. You did well. Alright, Carolyn.
Let's go.
Give your speech first. I know. I said we do. Say it really fast. So yeah, I'd like us to go over mine.
Wait, what was your time on that though?
550.
550?
See,
Nice.
that means yes. Thanks for sharing.
I do have some level of Spanish
Oh,
knowledge.
that's good.
She's
That's
gonna
really
be
good.
Spanish too.
Oh, nice. Nice.
She finished French.
Well.
Like, yeah.
Okay. My time starts now. We strongly negate the resolution that China's economic rise is a threat to the U.S. So in this round, I'll start by going over our voter issue. Our first voter issue is that we better adhere to the criterion of net benefits because China's economic rise actually benefits the U.S. as we get we rely on them to provide us with goods, and also their import number. We import around $579 billion of goods from China, so that's a big benefit to us. So now seeing that as I still have time, I'll start by going over my independent contention. So, basically, China's economic rise is a benefit to the U.S. because U.S. Private services and goods trade with China amounts to around $579 billion. That's another economist. Also, this trade between China supports 38.1 million jobs, and this is according to Business Roundtable. Also, the White House said the purchases would support. We rely on them to provide us with a lot of goods, and also China contributes the most to world GDP. So for all these reasons, I strongly urge the negation vote.
Time? 150 or 15?
15.
Lily, if I end up kind of repeating everything in their speeches as I go along, then you start with recommendations or shall I have to go just in case?
Wait, are we not to speak last?
No, she's last.
Okay, good.
If you do one voter issues like evidence, one is criterion, you can go through their stuff then.
I have key issue drop convention.
If you think something is important that you haven't been able to touch on, review it at the beginning. If not, then you can do it as you go.
Can I borrow someone's phone? I'll just go over how America is in the front. None are so blind as those who will not see. And repeatedly throughout this debate, my opponents have failed to see exactly how China's economic rise is hurting the United States in many ways, shapes, and forms. So because of this, Judge, we need to look at this speech as a way to understand the key issues in today's debate. The first one being that American reliance on China is bad. Secondly, that the drop contention that China's economic rise spells devastation to world peace is really key. And third and finally, that the AF deserves to win today's debate because it connects more strongly to the criterion. I'll first though begin by briefly touching on my opponent's refutation to our third contention, that China's economic rise is bad for the environment.
They responded by saying, well, it's America's fault too. But as I went over in my original speech, China is responsible for 1/3 of all air pollution. This is in 2006. So they have sort of reached current day levels of air pollution. So we're able to prove that China is responsible for a vast majority of air pollution if we continue to see this trend increasing. So why then are we holding America at fault? Because literally every country is responsible for air pollution. But America alone has 7 out of 10 citizens agreeing that yes, we need stricter standards. We need to change this. My opponents were able to provide no such evidence of America's involvement in air pollution or how its people feel. And because of this, their reputation means nothing. I'll first begin by moving on to our first issue, that China's domination of America is bad. My opponent mentioned in her report page that America relies on China. Exact word, rely. And this reliance is bad. As again, I touched on my first speech in our first contention, they hold $1.15 trillion of debt. And again, as I mentioned from Forbes, they can take this back at any time. While it doesn't make any economic sense to do so, the very fact that they hold this economic power over America speaks to the kind of power that China as a whole has the potential to hold over America. And because of this, also to the trade deficit, America needs China more than China needs America. And this results in a bad power dynamic between the two's relations. I touched on this again and again. If America's not number one and China is, America's power and autonomy is being infringed upon, which is not good for American interests, as I mentioned earlier, again in my speech. We cannot allow China to hold America's economic fate in their hands, because I've proven again and again they can crush it at any moment they choose to. My friend also mentioned that Obama said that he needs China. But here's the thing, China does not need America. There's no statement on the behalf of President Xi Jinping of China saying that they need America. So again, this power dynamic is destructive and will spell the end of America should it continue. Again, that they conceded to the point that it is kind of bad by saying, well, yeah, it's kind of true. Again, it is all true. And I'll move on to our second contention now, that of the drop contention. Our second contention was that China's economic rise would mean the devastation of global peace. They had no response in their second speech. They mentioned that China contributed more GDP. That was part of the evidence for our point. That they have so much money that they're able to use that money to infringe upon the autonomy of Japan through the Senkaku Islands, who is the United States ally. So, how on earth did that refute the point in any way, shape, or form? They're refusing to see the truth behind this point, that China's economic rise is only spelling the end of global peace. They've begun, they will continue, and they will not back down. We cannot allow them to continue to infringe upon the rights of our allies. And third and finally, the affirmative team has more strongly connected to the criteria in today's round. That of net benefits. My opponents have not mentioned net benefits once in today's debate. We're not having been able to provide bigger numbers, bigger populations, and more money that's affected by all of this. Again, $1.15 trillion dwarfs any number that they've brought to the table in today's debate. This $1.1 trillion of American debt that China holds and the power that that spells for them is net detrimental. The fact they can affect global populations is net detrimental, and they haven't been able to produce their benefits. So if we weigh these, Judge, it is very clear that the affirmation has won in today's debate. Thank you. 505. Like 3.
Do you want to get that down?
Yeah. Goodbye, please. Thank you, Casey. Yes. Thank you so much.
A lot of this.
Thank you so much, Greeks.
Oh, that's cute.
Is that almost? Yeah. This is how I met her. Someone created a question on the vocab quiz in English that I really liked. And I was like, Dr. Harrison, who created that question? I need to know.
Alright.
How does it feel like? What? If I call it Dr. Harrison?
I fly home with
Your
Dr.
Viking
Harrison.
buddies.
I have accidentally been right behind her on a few occasions.
Your Viking
But-
buddies. That's so sweet.
No, wait, does she bike to San Jose?
No,
Wait,
she
why
buys
did
the
you follow
whole.
her
Oh,
home?
why?
No, I go past where she turned off.
So you know.
You were watching it. You were on her tracks. On her trail.
I've also had Miss Burson run by my house when she goes jogging. So.
That's kind of
Oh,
weird.
And you didn't back out of the
That's
driveway at the opportune moment?
No, Grace. Okay, so we were leaving the tournament this past weekend, and I was driving, and Artem was crossing the street, like
Oh,
right
yeah.
when we were pulling out,
Right.
and I was like,
Did you
Artem's life was in my hands. Yeah, I waved. I don't think he saw me though. It was like pitch dark.
I think that points to you, Lily. I'll do like she let
Okay.
go. Can we see that China will do the same?
You
All right.
try?
Yes.
Oh man,
I have
the
my-
roads
She's
are
16.
dangerous now. The roads are
16.
dangerous. No,
I
no.
don't hang out
Everybody,
with people
careful.
who are half of 32.
Well, Grace, I
She's
guess
a
you have to
grandma.
find a new debate partner.
Grandma.
I'm gonna attack you with this.
All right. How do you guys think the debate went?
They won.
I forgot to write any dates for any of my episodes. I
All
thought
right.
your delivery was nice though. A lot of the information was good too.
Yeah, I definitely could tell like you were saying what Grace was saying, but then going beyond that, which is really good.
Elaine did really well. Good job, Elaine. That was good.
This demonstrates
All right.
critical
What about you
thinking
two
skills.
yourselves, Carolyn, Pearl? Okay, phones away. Both of you, phones down, face down.
Oh man.
How do you think it went? All right. What can you do better?
Oh, let's see. I need to like find more things. I need to read more.
Okay. How could you have done that in prep time to be more effective?
Oh, that's good job.
Maybe manage time so that you have enough time to look up more. Okay.
That's all.
All right, Pearl. It was really good. Yes.
You were making great strides in your development.
You started like last week. That was amazing.
Hard, so great.
Let's go through feedback.
Okay, that's not really
Grace.
so fast that it wasn't a compliment.
Grace. Grace.
Oh my God, Ruby and Max.
Carolyn, what happened to phones face down?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Max and Ruby happened.
Oh my God, you still my heart.
Thank you. All right, Grace.
Oh,
Overall, for everyone, good job. Definitely good job bringing up all the information. I like that you guys kept bringing up the numbers over and over again on both sides. That's really good. All right, Grace. First of all, explain what hard and soft power are in your definitions.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't going to know and won't be able to like
Hard
catch
is
the
like
significance.
hard like the fifth number I'm punching with, and soft is all like I hold it like rest.
That is one way of looking at it.
It's a metaphor.
Yes. Explain like that it's a fact debate and give the criterion then. I noticed you brought it up later. Good job bringing it up. But yeah, at the beginning. Good job overall speaking, like intonation, like changing how you're talking. That was good. Also a little dramatic, but you know.
Dramatic is who I am.
It's a fun.
You
I
can't
know.
stop it.
Okay.
Does this resemble you?
Alright, no. Guys, let's get through this quickly. So if you two are on your phones while I'm talking to them, that's fine, so long as you aren't disturbing them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yo.
Alright, Grace. So for the export-led growth, a good job bringing that up. I want you to explain that more. Because a lot of people are going to have no idea what that means.
It's a growth
At all.
strategy led by exports.
But explain that means. Explain how it means like China's gaining its economic power by exporting a ton, which makes these countries dependent on it. Then you could basically preempt their case. If you explain that like enough, right? Let's see. I need you to explain more, why is it so bad that China has this power over America? Yes, it limits our autonomy. Some judges would vote purely on that. But others are going to be like, okay, so they have some power over us. We have power over a lot of countries.
They
What's wrong
can
with that?
crush us in their large hands.
All right, an example of how that has happened before. How could that play out? What would happen if China tried to crush us? Right? Perhaps, but what would happen? What would happen to jobs? What would happen to wages? What would happen to the goods we got? What would happen to going to the grocery store and not finding anything, right?
Does our food come from China?
Some of it.
Like our Chinese food.
Yeah.
Most of it's probably made in the United States.
Not from China or whatever.
All right. More impacts of how U.S. You're talking about how the U.S. needs to be the top dog. Why? Why is it so important? Like U.S. interests. How does it help the U.S. to be the top dog? How does it help their hard power, soft power, economic power? Right. I would say explain the whole disputes with Japan and the rest of Southeast Asia. You could have brought up other countries in Southeast Asia as well, like the Philippines.
Evidence in my head about
Yeah. So explain that a little more. Explain a little background of what's going on.
Okay.
And so then explain like how that matters. Yeah. It seemed like so you spent a lot of time on your first point, which is good, and you're perfectly fine like dividing up time slightly unequally if you have more time to spend on that one. But you want to make sure you leave enough time for your other 2 points to explain them enough.
Okay.
Let's see. Explain the storms part. I mean, like, I get there's storms. I can deduce the storms are bad and, like, it causes destruction. But you want to lay out for the judge, what have these storms caused in the past? How many homes have they destroyed? How many people have they killed? How much of the economy have they destroyed?
You're in California right now. Imagine how much storm and stuff. That should be pretty great. Like more rain. But
Yeah.
Put a turn on the point.
Let's see. Oh, your part about how the U.S. people, Carolyn, how the U.S. can't decide on a leader, but can decide that they want stricter standards. It was intriguing. Only problem is, some of the U.S. still denies that climate change exists.
yeah, well, 7 out of 10 accepted it.
So,
So
just be careful what you're saying there. Watch having like a double summary at the end. It seemed like you summarized twice. Once more briefly than the other.
yeah, double sorry.
You only need to do that once. But overall, definitely good explanations. You could use a little more explanation of currency manipulations too. You just threw out like they're undervaluing their own currency versus the dollars. Like make theirs all like you explain that in like 2 sentences or whatever, right? Have a little more explanation of that. Unless they know some
What
about
should I
things.
cut back on the explanations for?
Cut back.
We except for adding explanations to everything if I saw one at a time.
Yeah. You could probably cut out some of the repetition of how it's going to be so bad, like being like, oh, the U.S. won't be the top dog anymore, and replace that with the impacts, right? So instead of saying the U.S. will no longer be the top dog, China will have this power of the U.S., China will have this power of the U.S., China will have power of the U.S. Explain, China will have this power, that means blank, right? All right, Carolyn, now is your turn for your phone to be FaceTime. Overall, good job going through everything. I would say for the beginning, try to look up while you're reading the resolution to make a good first impression. Try to make eye contact, that kind of thing. You might want to say something about accepting the definitions, just so like everyone knows that's clear. If you wanted to, you could have attacked the lack of explanation on hard and soft power. You didn't have to, but you could. Let's see. You need to explain how the U.S. reliance refutes the currency manipulation and the export-led growth, right? How that counters that. Because that leaves you very open for a turn, saying this reliance exists and it's bad, okay? So if you bring up that the U.S. is reliant, you have to explain why that's good. Why should the U.S. be reliant on another country, right? Right. So why is globalization good? Why is it good that these countries are working together, are interdependent, cooperating,
That's a
right?
vocab word.
You should ask them to
Well, right? So you want to explain all of that.
Yes.
Also, you do want to refute the debt part, because that was a very strong point that you want to refute. Well, you can bring up something about how the rest of the U.S. is dead elsewhere. They're showing no signs of doing so. They're not going to do so. We have to accept this kind of risk in order to be able to work together, right? That kind of thing. You did briefly refute something to the second point, which Grace and Elaine, you guys didn't catch. They did say contribute most to world GDP. But you guys need to explain why that matters. How on earth does that refute world peace? Right. So you need to. You need to, Carolyn. You want to explain how, like, if China has more military power, then if all these countries have more military power, then no one's going to attack. It's like the nuclear weapons mutually assured destruction, right? No one's going to attack if everyone has this military power. So it's not necessarily that China has power that it's bad. It's bad that China has military power and the rest of Europe doesn't, or the rest of Asia doesn't, right? So the problem isn't that China has it, it's that Japan doesn't. Does that make sense?
Why don't you tell me this at tournament?
Sorry.
Rude.
I was not in the room. Okay.
Keep the word on my card. Hope you always feel victimized.
Oh, that's so mean. You know,
All right,
hunter
Carolyn.
myself.
So for your third point, it's an interesting thought to bring up that it's partly the U.S.'s fault. That is definitely true, but you need to explain how. Explain that because
I was
of U.S.
going to, but then I was afraid Grace would always stand up and be like, blah, 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 and I'll be like,
yeah, that goes for both of you. Guys, everyone, finish your sentence before letting them interrupt you. You don't have to answer their question right away.
She's standing closer.
Finish your train of thought and then answer their question. Okay? So don't let them get in front of you.
yes, it's good advice. Yes, it did.
All right, Carolyn, you want a better tagline for your point, just so like it's easier to refer to. Also, respond to Grace's question. If you're gonna answer it, you do have to actually answer.
Okay, I'm not answering any more questions from now on, unless I really know.
You want to do at least one or two, or else it looks like you're being rude and shutting them out.
I answered all the
All right. So you do want to actually respond to those. Also, Carolyn, if they say that President promised that there'd be goods, that's slightly weaker than saying there are goods. So you want to not just say, like saying that they are getting $45 billion of our goods, right? Not just that they promise there will be, because promises can be broken. Yeah. Yeah. For your summary, try not to just repeat the facts, but to go through like the main ideas and summarize not only your own point, but also your refutations. Okay? But overall, good job. All right. This is good. Elaine. Let's see. Overall, definitely your speaking is getting a lot better. A lot better. I would say for the beginning, you can try to start out a little more strong. Like put forward your best speaking right at the beginning and right at the end. This makes good first and last impressions. Okay? Let's see. Explain the part about factories to Bangladesh more. Explain how that refutes the reliance. Or you can turn it right there and say, yes, it's reliance, but that reliance is bad. Right? Because that makes it a point for your side, and then they have like nothing. Right? And then bring back up the currency manipulation, the export-led growth, and the debt power, right? So those are all really strong points that they didn't really touch on. So bring them back up. Say they only said this one refutation, but we had all of these ideas that they didn't refute, right? I know. No, but like it goes when you're like explaining. Right? It's really bad, I know. Okay, for your second point, I'm trying to be open here, not just like lecture you, which involves asking that you understand. Right? Elaine. So for this, your second point, good job bringing up like the whole conceited thing. They did sort of respond to it, but didn't really refute it. So since they didn't respond to it, talk about the point. Say the impact. Say we're negatively affecting global peace. We're hurting the U.S. The U.S.'s military allies. This is extremely detrimental because the fact that they conceded to that means that they acknowledge that it's true in the round. So just like really hit the impacts of that, okay? Let's see. When Grace is writing you a note, or your partner, whoever it is, try to keep talking. I know it's hard to have something to say, but try to like say something while you're waiting. And like, I know it's hard. I've had it myself. Like they're scribbling something, and I'm like, I'm ready to move on, but I'm assuming this is about this point, so I can't. So just like summarize, tie it back to the resolution, like a result type thing, until you get the note. Okay. Now I'm doing okay instead, Grace.
Okay.
Good connection with saying it's the government of your people. Like you said what Grace said, and then you extrapolated on that. That's really good. That's what you need to be doing. Like when your partner gives you a note, take what they say that, and then provide your own explanation of why that matters. Because they don't have time to write everything down. So really good job explaining that. Let's see. Good job saying how like all this money is going to China, not helping the U.S., and how it's damaging U.S. economy, peace, air pollution, all of that. I would say explain that a little more directly. Go back through the impacts that you had, because I think you had enough time. Just like briefly go through like the fact that this money is going to them because of U.S. reliance means that they have more power over the United States. They are more of a threat to global peace, and they can cause more air pollution, right? Let's see. You said something along the lines of Americans will lose jobs if this stops. I wasn't sure exactly what this was, so just try to make sure you're clear. Let's see. Really, really good summary. That was really good. You went back through all the points, briefly stated all the main ideas in them. That was really good. Okay? No, but you did a really good job with that. You went through all the points, you brought up the main ideas, you brought up the currency manipulation, imports, trade, and exports, all that. That was amazing. Good job. Alright, Pearl. Phone's down.
Okay, my Wi-Fi.
Pearl. Carolyn, how about you put that phone down there?
Okay.
Guys, you can do this after you're done. Okay, overall, good job speaking, good job explaining all that. You're getting better. A lot better. I would say it seemed you gave your paper to Carolyn when she was talking. I would suggest you keep it so that you can write down what she says, so you know the whole train of refutations, right?
Okay, but I've been used for a while.
Right? You want to be able to say, like, their first point was this, my partner responded to this by saying, they refuted this with, and now my refutation of that is, right? Here, your phone. Pearl. Your phone. Thank you. So you want to be able to have the whole chain of refutations, not just repeating the initial refutations, because they already refuted that. You see what I mean? Okay. Don't concede that it's kind of true. Even if you think it is, just
I know.
don't say that. No, you're good. But good job going on to say, like, still refuting, not just saying it's kind of true and moving on, because that would be like, I don't know, killing yourself. Be nice answering questions. Everyone goes through this stage. Grace and I went through it too.
LOL.
Of responding to questions quite aggressively and not very respectfully whatsoever.
I don't have time for that question.
You set a bad example for us.
You weren't here.
But
This is
still,
when I was the
you
freshman.
tell us. I don't have. Oh, doesn't Serena say that?
Serena is very nice.
I don't have time for your
So you want to
questions
be
right now.
Pearl.
Sorry.
So you want to say like, I'm sorry, I don't have time right now. I'll get to it at the end, or no thanks, you know, right now. Just like something nice. Try not to use your paper to fan yourself. I think that's a bit of a bad habit for you. Let's see. You want to explain that China contributed to the world GDP. How does that contribute to world peace? Okay? So there was no real connection there. So again, with what I was saying to Carolyn, explaining how China militarizing is good because it can balance out other military powers and no one will attack anyone. It's a good job with the U.S., it being the U.S.'s fault, but explain more of it. So what? Right? You always want to be able to answer the question, so what? Why does it matter? Okay? So the U.S. imports all these goods. That means China has to do this to be economically viable. So means it's going to keep doing it. If the U.S. was supplying all these goods, then air pollution wouldn't be such a big problem. Okay? Let's see. Talk more about how the United States jobs will be provided from these goods. Talking about how, like, connect that back to the revolution. So, like, because of China, we're creating 250,000 U.S. jobs. It is a tangible benefit to us, right? Try to have a summary and a bit of a stronger ending. So you can say, like, and for all these reasons, including that China does not pose an economic threat, but rather will help the United States economically, is rather a benefit to world peace and is not the real cause behind all of this air pollution, I strongly negate today's resolution, right? So finish it out strong and leave a good last impression. But overall, definitely really good job. Carolyn,
Yes?
Sit down,
Oh my god.
please.
Insane.
Yeah. Are you gonna erase the board?
Yeah, they will.
Yes.
Don't worry. Right. Let's see. Briefly say what voter issues are. So just say like, I'll be presenting my voter issues or reasons why the negation.
Which is why you should vote for the negation.
Yeah, exactly. If you're doing voter issues or criterion, just go through all the points. Go through all the points and show how your team has connected. I know, but go through their points too. Like, go through the refutation, right?
Oh, and point out how bad they
Yeah,
are. Oh,
exactly. Because that brings your time out, Carolyn, that makes your time longer and makes like you sound like better in that respect. Explain more how this $579 billion of goods helps the United States. How does that actually benefit us? So you guys said that again and again, but you've never actually explained how it helped, right? I would suggest having more than one voter issue. You couldn't have done, you couldn't have done drop points. You could have tried to do evidence, saying like we can guarantee these things, or you could bring back up like major issues in the rounds, like have one voter issue be like that issue of the economy, one be issue of world peace, like that kind of thing. Okay.
Okay.
Also, you brought back up your original point. Only problem is that had already been refuted. So you want to bring up something beyond that, right? You want to be able to go off of what Pearl said, which should have been a refutation of what Elaine said. Okay? Because if it's already been refuted, there's no real point. You also said 38.1 billion jobs, and before you said 30.1. Most people wouldn't notice that, but just like try to keep your numbers straight. Overall, I would say try to impact stuff out more. Carolyn, are you listening?
I'm listening.
How about you look at, thank you, impact stuff out that'll bring your time out a lot more and make it connect more strongly. So impact your stuff out to this whole definition of a threat, right? Saying China's helping our hard power stop our economic power, or at least not threatening, okay? So connect back to the resolution, explain why it matters. But overall, good speaking, good job bringing those ideas up. You just need to explain a little more. All right.
He has no eyebrow.
Grace.
No,
Grace. Marker down. Turn around. Okay. Good job bringing up that reliance on China is bad. That is the easiest thing you could have done for their case. Because they said we're relying on China. Quick response, that's bad. Good job explaining all of that. Also, really good job going through and briefly saying what your 3 voter issues would be at the beginning. That's always a really good strategy. I almost never have time for it, but since you did, that was definitely a good thing to do. Let's see. If you're going to say that 7 out of 10 people want stricter regulations, you need to explain how that proves anything. Okay? Because your refutation to the U.S. being responsible didn't really explain, like you just restated what you already said, that China is responsible for 1/3 of all of it. But if they're responsible for that because they have to do this to be economically viable, their point still sort of stands. Do you see what I mean? Like, you need to be able to refute that China is choosing to do this in a way that hurts the environment. The U.S. is so reliant on Chinese goods that they could implement these regulations, and the cost would still be low enough for the U.S. to buy all of them. So thus you're saying, like, it's not the U.S.'s fault. China is choosing not to make this choice. You also mentioned, they said something in their 4th speech. Last I checked, they didn't have 4th speech.
Member of the opposition.
You mean like 4th speech total?
Yeah.
Okay, because you said their 4th speech, so you want to say their member of opposition speaker, their 2nd speaker said, okay? Just like careful with your words. Careful with what you're doing with your papers, and you're like flustering them around. Like, yeah, I know it's hard, but just keep that in mind.
Okay. Try to be more organized so we can distract.
Yeah. Then again, Meredith has had like 12 papers before, so you're okay.
And one of them said that their opponent was stupid and you got called out on it. So who's the real winner now?
That was only once, and she did not bring that up with me. Anyways, you went back through the U.S. needing autonomy. That's good. Explain historical evidence of how China could exert its power over us and how that would be bad. Okay.
Focus more on historical precedent rather than things like
Yeah. Well, like, say that this could happen in the future, and then give an example of how it's happened in the past.
because there's a pattern.
Yeah, and explain how this pattern is reoccurring. Okay. Let's see. Explain the significance of them dropping the really good job going back through the point and explaining it. So then you want to go the step farther and say, because they conceded to this by not responding, they acknowledge that this is true in today's round. Also, they did mention net benefits in their last speech, so if the judge is paying attention, they'll notice that. It's okay. So just like say that you guys connected more. I would say for that, you didn't really have time in this speech, but in general, try to go through all of your points. If you don't have time, then do the most important issue. And if you know you're not going to have time, then just mention it throughout your voter speech. So you're talking about something else and say, and this clearly demonstrates connection to the criterion of net benefits as you go through. But overall, good speaking, good explanations.
So,
Let's turn this off.
yeah.